I mean, I think the last time I saw you, you were knocking around Northampton, as you do. You were in Panto a few years ago with the Grumbleweeds and such like, I think. And you've
Yeah,
been
so
in
that
loads
was
of things.
2018.
Yeah. Oh, because I've ignored the 2 years, the void 2 years, if you know what I mean. It's gone from my mind. Footloose. Now, if anyone's thinking, wow, it's a lot of the little cheesy little musical. It's not, is it? It's quite deep and meaningful and quite a meaty subject matter, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think that's what separates it. I know that I don't like the term jukebox musical, but that is, that's kind of, it is a thing. But this, unlike a lot of the others, with sort of those kind of genre of musicals, usually like a producer or a director or someone would get hold of the back catalogue of an artist or a band's material, like with We Will Rock You or the Rod Stewart musical or Mamma Mia, and then a story would be written around it. And dare I say, sometimes that story might be a little bit on the thin side, because you don't need it so much with with those massive big hits. But the thing that separates Footloose, as you so rightly say, one is the fact that Dean Pitchford wrote. So you've got these massive 80s hits. Let's Hear It for the Boy, Holding Out for a Hero, the title track Footloose. So you have these incredibly massive, very, very well-known 80s tunes that are instantly recognizable as soon as the intro kicks in. But he wrote those songs for the film. So those songs were sort of written for that specific time in the story originally. And yeah, unlike a lot of those sort of musicals, there is amongst the lovely Jake Quickenden in Gold Hot Pants, which even as a heterosexual male,
normal, isn't it? He's got to be in some sort of pants. That's pretty much about. I've interviewed him a few times as well. That's all he wears, isn't it, these days?
Man, I don't think even in my prime, I don't think I had a six pack quite like that. But in amongst these massive big, it's an amazing set. It's a brand new set. It's a brand new production. But in amongst this incredible spectacle with these amazing, the cast, not only do they sing, act, and dance, they all play live instruments on stage. But amongst all of that, my role as the Reverend, you do have this really meaty and really sort of layered, deep, emotional story going on, which you don't usually get with this type of show. So it kind of, I feel like it really does appeal to the masses and all generations. And it's, I think it, to be fair, like talking from a professional sort of theatre point of view, it took me a good few shows to know how to place it, because it is strange. You get all this, the boys stripping down to towels or Gold Hot Pants, and then I come on and do quite a dramatic, serious scene, and it's quite a tough role to nail and place it in the right place. I've not really experienced that before, but I'm absolutely loving it. And the show, of all the shows that I've done, and I've done a lot of those type of feel-good shows, I've never seen a bigger reaction at the end as to what this show gets. It's a standing ovation every single night, whether it's been our opening press night or a rainy Wednesday afternoon matinee. It's just an incredible atmosphere. And I think the thing is, it feels very much like the Roaring Twenties in the auditorium, what I would imagine they would have felt like, post-war. Everyone's been deprived of live entertainment and socializing, and that's obviously, that's what our last 2 years has been. And no theatres open, no theatre shows, no live performances. And I think we as a cast and as a team on the show feel so grateful to be back on stage and working. I think the audiences, that I think the people feel grateful and happy to be back as an audience again. And I had 20 months out of work, and none of us knew when and if we were going to work again in live theatre. And I did 6 months as Billy Flynn on Chicago, from last August until February. I finished in Chicago on the 12th of February and went straight into Footloose on Valentine's Day 2 days later. And mate, I feel so lucky. I've never been so grateful for work and for what's going on, because to do 2 6-month tours with these iconic musicals in two cracking roles, I just feel really, really lucky, you know, because a lot of my mates in the business are still not working.
I've said this to someone else. It's not just the audience are happy to be back, just in a group and to see shows. It's almost refreshed you lovies, because you know it can get a little bit samey, a little bit. Oh, let's phone it in. I'm near home. I can drive home if I'm quick, and it sort of refreshes and makes you love it even more. Do you know what I mean?
I absolutely do know what you mean, and I, you know, if I'm going to put my hands up and lay my cards on the table, sort of brutally honest, yeah, I mean, I could definitely. I am not guilty of, on occasions. You know, I've done musical theatre now for 29 years, and sometimes, you know, if you're on the road for a year and you're doing the same show every day, I probably have phoned in a few performances over the years, truthfully. But I don't think I will ever phone one in ever again, because you're absolutely right. There's a gratitude, and there's like a, I don't know, without sounding too deep, there's magic back, and a magic that I haven't felt since I was at the Palladium as Joseph in 1993, where it all began. And of course, that time for me, it was magical, because I never imagined anything like that would happen to me. And it feels like that again. And we all genuinely, like, absolutely love going on stage. And every single person, whether that be the backstage crew, the band, the cast, we give it 100% all the way through that show. And it really does pay off at the end, when you've got, you know, 1,000 people on their feet, singing along and clapping and stomping their feet. And we send them out with a smile on their faces, which has never felt better than it does now, because God only knows, we could all do with we could all do with more, but 2.5 hours of escapism is quite welcome now. And I feel really privileged to be in a position to be able to be a part of giving that to people, you know.
So Footloose, it's the double-edged sword, I suppose. It's the bonus that it's a very famous film and a lot of people have seen it, but that can work against you sometimes in a Grease sort of way. I mean, you've been there, haven't you? But I guess on the positive, we've seen that. Oh yeah, love it, can't wait, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right. I mean, I remember when I did Grease, I tried to play it as close to John Travolta as I could, because if I was going, and I did the same with Summer Holiday, actually, because as a kid, you know, I watched those films over and over again, and I've always felt, I know that there's an argument to say, you know, put your own take on it, which certain times that's the case, but I think there are certain shows like Grease, like Summer Holiday, like this one, where it works. It works if you stay true to the movie that people know and love. And we do definitely try to do that with this one. And the other thing I think what's great about like a musical that has these amazing 80s hits, you're sort of bringing a new generation in. You know, like we had a 5-year-old girl in the front row yesterday afternoon that we all had a picture taken with, and she was with her mum and her gran. So there's 3 generations there. Obviously, you know, the 2 older generations know the songs, but this little 5-year-old, she was loving these songs. And I think, you know, in doing a show like this, with these cracking songs that do stand the test of time, we introduce them to a new generation. And, you know, for that little girl, it was her first trip to theatre. And I feel that that's quite a responsibility that we as performers need to nail, because if you have an unfortunate trip to the theatre when you're a kid, that could determine whether you go to support theatre for the rest of your life. And for me, at 5 years old, I was taken to the London Palladium to see Morecambe and Wise by my granddad. And that was the most incredible experience. And I do believe from that's why I do what I do now. So it feels great to see 3 generations. Actually, we had a 4 generation 2 weeks ago as well. And, you know, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Family time. And we just have a real party in there. I have my little dramatic bits.
Well, I was going to say, for those that aren't familiar with the film or see, I mean, give us a little synopsis of the plot and where you fall in that? Because you're a bit of a baddie in a way to start with, anyway, aren't you?
It can be seen that way. The thing that I cling on to is I was lucky enough to be put in touch with Dean Pitchford just before I opened. Through I have a mate called Richard Marks, who's an American singer, and Dean is a friend of his, very, very close friend of his. So Richard put me in touch with Dean, and Dean said the mistake that people make with this role is they play it like the baddie. But he said the actual secret with the Reverend is charisma, because if you didn't have the charisma in the first place, this whole town would not be in his hands. You know, he holds the people of this town in his hands, and they look up to him. And so it's easy to play it as a baddie. And truthfully, I've seen it played as a baddie, but it just that then you think, well, why would these people follow this man? Why would his wife stay with him? You know, and so there are moments that you have to have those moments that was like, oh, you know, a little bit shocking. But then at the end, you realise why. And this guy has lost his son in a tragic accident. His daughter is now at an age where she's dating boys. This new guy comes into this little town from Chicago. And I can really pull on some method here, because my daughter's 15. She's dating boys. She sends me screenshots of things
You can't complain, though, can you?
No, but it's like, you know, for a dad, you know, every single, when she wants me to buy her stuff, all the skirts are too short, all the tops are too tight. And there are moments in the show where he walks into like the disco and she's there with tight clothes with the boyfriend. And I can really pull on some method there, because you just feel, I don't know, I have this primitive kind of caveman thing over my daughter. To my boys, I'm like, go on, son. But to my daughter, I'm like, get all the boys away from her. So there's a lot of this part that I can relate to, how he's so scared of letting his daughter go.
Well, it is a great show, and yeah, you must be the only annoying part of it for you is that you can't get to dance until the end. Can you really? You've not given too much away, although I just have. But
trust me, that's not annoying. People always think that I'm a song and dance man because of shows like Grease, but I have to work on the dance so hard. It does not. I'm not a triple threat, as they call that in theatre. If you can act, sing, and dance, they call it a triple threat. I'm not a triple threat. So the fact that there's limited dancing, it's not only good for me, but trust me, it's better for the audience.
I'm not sure if you've been to Aylesbury. I mean, it's a beautiful newish theatre. Yeah, it's one of those where the backstage is almost even nicer than the front, which you will understand what I'm talking about.
Dare I say, that makes a change, and that's great for the performers. And no, I haven't actually played Aylesbury, but what's special for me in Aylesbury is my son Corey, who's going to be 18 this year. He's following, you know, in my footsteps and his mum's footsteps. And he's studying drama and film studies. And he lives 10 minutes away. So being on tour, you know, it's tough to get to see the kids. I do it whenever I can. I had them all three of them for a week when I was in Blackpool 2 weeks ago whilst they were on their Easter holiday. But Corey's going to be 10 minutes away. So he's bringing his mate, he's bringing his girlfriend. And so that's going to be a really special week for me, because I'm really proud of my kids, and I stepped out of musical theatre for quite a few years consciously to do other stuff. And so they haven't seen their dad do a lot of theatre at an age where they sort of get it. And so it feels really lovely to be doing shows that they can come and see. You know.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. See you in Aylesbury for Footloose.
All right, my friend. Stay safe. Nice to talk to you. Thanks. Will I see it? Will you be coming to see it?
Yeah, it's usually the Monday or the Tuesday, the press night. So yeah.
Okay, well, I hope to see you there then.
Brilliant. All right then, mate.
All right.
Thanks,
Feel better soon, mate. All the best.
And you, thanks. Bye.
Cheers. Bye, mate. Bye.